I would like you all to take a moment and think, the last time when you were at a theatre, how many big franchise films were on the display board compared to some original dramas? Okay, now at least name the last non-franchise film you watched on the big screen. Hard to remember, right? In the last decade, cinema has seen a major change in its landscape. Every month, we see at least one big franchise film hitting the theatres. Now, I wrote a blog post about this a few months ago, the time when people were actually scared of coronavirus. But I don't know why the site removed it, so I decided why not cover it here. Now, I enjoy some of the franchise films as much as everyone, and I try to see them in the biggest theatre possible, and some are really good. But we cannot deny the negative impact it has over the film industry, and specifically over the independent cinema. To explain this, I'm gonna break the video in 3 parts: the box office revenue, the cinematic quality, and how to change this culture. So without further ado,
here we go. Tell me something. Could it be Miss Amelia Partridge?
What are you talking about?
in this franchise-driven era, smaller films have rarely gotten the glory they deserve from the public. And to demonstrate that, I'm gonna bring in some of Paul Thomas Anderson's film. Now, for those who don't know him, Paul Thomas Anderson has been elevating the standards of cinema since day one. Just studying his filmography will grant you more knowledge than any film school out there. Apparently, his films have been performing really badly lately. For comparison, in 2007, he made There Will Be Blood with a budget of $25 million, and the film went on to make $76.2 million at the box office, more than 3 times of the budget. Whereas on the contrary, his 2014's venture, Inherent-wise, earned even less than its actual budget, even though it was critically acclaimed like There Will Be Blood. So, what happened? In 2012, Marvel released its game-changing venture called The Avengers, which changed the landscape of cinema we consume today. They basically took some B-list characters from the pages of Marvel Comics, assembled them together, and boom! It smashed all the box office records, pretty much like Hulk in this scene. And that traveled like a shockwave among other studios, and they only saw one thing.
Money, money, money.
The studios started mass producing franchise film by literally cramming a franchise out of anything they could think about. DC started its own cinematic universe, WB also started their Godzilla Kong universe, Universal tried their hand at a Monsters universe, Sony tried their hand at a Spider-Man universe, Harry Potter returned, Star Wars returned, Jurassic Park returned, so on and so forth. Now I'll get to their quality later, but on an average, we get at least one franchise film per month. Now an average earner will go to the theatre once per month, and out of an array of films, it's most likely that he or she will go for a film based on a popular franchise, as the person is familiar with the character and the film is likely to be popular amongst the peers. Hence, the independent films and the original dramas, which were already in the background, got erased from the landscape, and these unique films never saw a theatre full of moviegoers. That's why the last 3 films of Paul Thomas Anderson performed so badly. And not only him, but so many other filmmakers were heavily affected by that revolution. If this is how the audience will treat masterclass filmmakers, then no producers would like to produce their films, and we'll see less unique ideas on the big screen, and they will have no other option but to resort to streaming services. And I'll get to the point why resorting to streaming services is bad later in this video, but for now, people might say that these aren't the kind of films masses like to watch. Well, no. Take Joker for example. Although that film is nowhere near as complex as a Scorsese film or a Paul Thomas Anderson drama, but that film is a slow burn character study and nothing like your average blockbuster. Yet it earned over $1 billion at the box office. Why? because it had DC slapped on its posters, and Joker is an immensely popular character. Now, if you remove the DC label and change the title to Arthur Fleck, which was the name of the character, and give the clown makeup a very different identity, something that is far away from the DC's Joker, I bet it will not even earn the 10th of what it earned. It will essentially be the same film, but still no one will watch it. Because then it will not be from a popular franchise, and it will not be featuring a pop culture icon. The point I'm trying to make is that masses can enjoy slower character dramas. It's just that they are blinded by the franchise films, which are just stealing the spotlight from the smaller films.
Got no strings, so I have fun. I'm not tied up to any fun.
Okay, let's just give them a pass for occupying space in the theaters. But at what expense? Are these films any good if they're occupying all the space in the cinema?
Find him! Save Martha!
Not so long ago, most of the big budget films used to be profound, and they used to leave an impression on the hearts of the viewers which would last for eternity. Those films were not only famous for including pop culture icons, but also for being excellent pieces of cinema.
You shall not pass!
Nowadays, we hardly see a blockbuster that has that kind of impact. Brilliant character moments are replaced for cheap laughs, no matter how they affect the tone of the scene. Development of these characters is thrown in the backseat, just to make seat for tons of Easter eggs and cameos from characters from a different franchise. Structuring a narrative for the film has become a myth for the studios, whereas planning the next 10 films in the series is the biggest priority for them.
This is phase 4, thank you.
Why?
Now,
Because films these days are more interested in the multiple sequels than the current story they are telling. They are more concerned about setting up the upcoming chapters than letting the individual film stand on its own feet and deliver a quality piece of cinema.
Tug Speedman, Scorcher 6, Global Meltdown. Here we go again.
These films are more like an extended trailer for the upcoming film in the series, and because of that, their franchise is collapsing at the very early stage. Just look at how The Mummy was supposed to start the dark/monster universe that included classic monsters like Count Dracula, The Mummy, The Invisible Man, etc. But the franchise collapsed at the very beginning as its first film failed miserably at telling a coherent story. Heck, they even roped Johnny Depp for Invisible Man even before releasing Mummy. They were more concerned about setting up the sequels, and look where it led them. And you remember how DC tried to push their characters to a team-up film before establishing them separately in their own unique habitat. Now one can say that they are returning back on track, but the timeline is still a mess, and it puts a lot of pressure on the filmmakers of these new projects, as they have to justify their story in the same timeline, and they also have to make a good film. Problem is that the studios are directly jumping into the construction of the franchise without actually laying a solid foundation. Hence, no matter how good of a filmmaker or how many great actors you get, you cannot help but see it crumble right in front of your eyes. Now, even though Marvel started this trend, but just look at how they approached their films. When they started off with Iron Man, Jon Favreau made sure that he's putting his best foot in every department. Even though they didn't have a proper script, Jon fought for casting an actor who could improvise on the spot with other equally talented actors without letting the dialogue sound cheesy. He also made sure that film is technically well polished by relying more on practical effects, shooting the film on a film camera over a digital camera, creating the set rather than heavily relying on green screen. And is it just me, or Iron Man has the best sound design among all the Marvel films? And the most interesting part, it has zero reference to other films, heck, not even a reference to its direct sequel. The only main reference was at the very end after they rolled the credits.
I'm here to talk to you about the Avenger Initiative.
Now, not all Marvel movies have followed that and maintained that quality of Iron Man, but one can say that most of them have followed in the footstep, while still maintaining the continuity of MCU. But that's about it. Just look at other studios. Look at the disjointed narrative of Star Wars, or Sony's failed attempt at a live-action Spider-Verse, or Harry Potter universe messing up, or the Conjuring franchise going nowhere, or X-Men's awfully messy timeline. Just turn your head to any direction and you will see a franchise failing. But the problem is people are still watching it in numbers, and that's a major issue. Remember earlier I talked about esteemed filmmakers resorting to streaming services? Now that's a big sin. For example, I'll bring Martin Scorsese's Irishman. That's a kind of film you need to watch on the big screen. I mean, it's a 4-hour-long crime drama for God's sake. You just can't watch it at your home. Now, when you're in your home, you're basically in your zone. You'll pause the film over 100 times. You'll take numerous trips to the kitchen to get food or soda, and because of soda, you'll have multiple loo breaks, and you'll check your phone in the middle countless number of times. You'll watch it like a TV series by dividing it into episodes. Heck, I think someone even tweeted something like that. In contrast, when you are watching a film in a theater, you know that you are in a different zone and you respect the boundaries of it. You are mentally prepared to invest the 4 hours of your day as you have paid a reasonable amount from your pocket for it. You'll keep your phone on silent, restrict your loo breaks for the interval if your theater provides it, and try to fully absorb the art for 4 hours. That's the difference. And because of the overabundance of franchise films, we have to witness works of art like these on the streaming services. And even those who get a theatrical release are only released for a weekend, where again, they are destroyed by the big franchises. Alright, a small example, I went to watch Rocketman, which was released around the same time as these two films. And there were only 7 people in the theater, including me. And it was one of the most popular multiplex in the capital of India. And just to put there, Rocketman is a relatively big film. There are films which were not even released despite having some really big names. Let's do one thing. After this video, just sit down and YouTube about any below average franchise film. You'll find countless reviews and videos where you'll see people ripping them into shreds and trash talking about it. People already know that these films are worthless, and those who want to watch it will not be stopped by some video. And it's not just in films. Even in music, we see YouTubers doing that. We see them bringing some people in light who do not deserve our slightest attention. The problem with this is, the more we talk about such films and artists, the more they come under people's radar. Even if someone is not planning on watching it, he or she will watch it just for some unintended comedy. Instead, I request the content creators on YouTube, if anyone happens to watch this video, try bringing some independent dramas into light instead of shitting on some bullshit films for hours. Use your power to highlight lesser known films. And if you're so keen on shitting about really horrible films, do it way after its release, like this guy Chris Tuckman. He has a series in which he talks about some really crappy films, but in the same time, he talks about some really beautiful independent dramas. Like, I came to know about this really intriguing indie film called The Devil's Candy through his channel. And I'm just one person. Seeing the number of subscribers on his channel, I'm pretty sure a lot of people might have come to know about different unknown films through his channel. He just posted one video about an independent film, but it enlightened thousands of his viewers. Imagine if every YouTube channel dealing in this area starts doing the same.
My fear, more than fear, my observation is that the filmmakers of substance need support.
Yeah.
And the problem is the amusement park films. The problem is that, which is something that's been pointed out for the past number of years now. But now I think, in effect, they've got real cinema on the run, so to speak. That's very difficult for films of substance or attempted, how should I say? I don't want to use the word personal vision, but I have. It doesn't mean it's not entertaining, right? But these projects, where can they be shown? Where can they be shown if the theaters are taken over by the well-made, beautifully made, animated pictures, in a sense?
Cinema is not dying.
No.
But versatility is surely on a decline, and it will cease to exist if genre films will not get theaters.
Oh, shit.
Human brain has untapped potential, so don't presume that the audience is not capable of absorbing slightly heavy content. Smart people are all around us, and it's time that we as content creators reach that level through our medium of communication.
I think we should be leaving now.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Thank you once again for watching the video, and I'm guessing that you have already liked it. And for those who are new to this channel, please like, share and subscribe. So in this video, I kind of bashed the franchise films, hence in the next one, I'll honor them by doing the first ranking video of the channel, where I'll rank some of the best ending chapters in a franchise. Oh, by the way, before I leave, here are some suggestions for the weekend.